ready to get started. So hello, and welcome to the Wellness Council of Tampa Bay's quarterly meeting, Enhancing Retention Through Wellness. I am Steve Malla, President of the Wellness Council and Wellness Manager for White & Case, a global law firm here based in Tampa. So today's discussion will focus on what we can do as wellness professionals to support our organizations, our clients, our companies during this very unpredictable time known as the Great Resignation. Since the pandemic, our country has seen a higher than normal quit rate amongst American workers. Amongst our remaining colleagues, this has led to lower productivity, an increased workload, and a decline in employee morale. So our efforts, to leverage health promotions and supportive well-being resources, to help our organizations thrive will be an essential need in 2022. So I hope today's meeting helps bring us together to share best practices in preventative well-being and population health in your workplace. To provide an overview of today's agenda, we'll just do a quick welcome here and introductions, followed by a very engaging presentation by Shanae Graham. And we'll close out the session with an opportunity to network amongst ourselves and just have an informal chat to get to know each other. If you're joining today for our first time and unfamiliar with our organization, this is our mission statement. We are a nonprofit business networking group that provides a forum for corporate health and wellness professionals to network and collaborate on a variety of best practices and educational opportunities in the field of corporate wellness. We often cater to the needs of professional, corporate, and community wellness programmers, as well as the vendors who provide services in the community. And we're led by a steering committee of approximately 8 committee members that leads the direction and the strategic vision for our organization. So thank you to our steering committee members for continuing to lead this group. We have a wonderful partnership with Gulf Coast North Area Health Education Center, who provides us financial and administrative support, avenues for communication, and helps us align with other community organizations, as well as corporate companies as well in the community to support our mission. So we cannot do this without our Gulf Coast North AHEC, so thank you to them as well. I'd like to now welcome Trish Blocker, our sponsorship director, to share a few words on sponsorship opportunities for the Wellness Council.
Thank you, Steve. Well, welcome everybody. I'm excited for this topic. I'm excited to hear Shanae. We've worked together in the past. The Wellness Council of Tampa Bay is a nonprofit, like Steve said. Everything we do, we try to keep free for the members. And that's only done and possible by our sponsorship. We do have different levels of sponsorship. So if anyone out there is interested, feel free to reach out to me at sponsorship at wellcounciltb.org or through the website, and I can send you information. The newest sponsorship we have is the digital annual sponsorship, where for $500 you have ability to put content on our monthly newsletters, and you will have a logo on the website. And I do want to thank our 4 digital sponsors that we have right now: Tampa General Hospital, Baycare, Cigna, and Humanigo 365. So without the sponsors, these meetings would not be possible. So again, thank you. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me.
Thank you, Trish. I now would like to welcome Wendy Weaver to share a few thoughts on engaging with our social media outlets.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Thumbs up, Steve?
Yes.
All right, great. So you can see we have 3 social media accounts. We have Instagram, And if you go into the Instagram and do a search for Wellness Council of Tampa Bay, all lowercase, no spaces, you will find us on Instagram. And we really post things that are meaningful and information. We don't do a lot of other posting on Instagram. So if you want quick updates, you can check that out. We also post in the story. And then Facebook, that's more of an interactive tool. You guys know all about Facebook. You can find us with the same exact name, Wellness Council of Tampa Bay, and then LinkedIn as well. We also have, if you look up to the top kind of left, the website, it's a little different. It's called wellcounciltb.org. If you have not gone to the website, highly recommend and fill out the member form and you can become a free member. I get often asked what jobs are open that I know of in the area because I've been in the industry for quite a few years, 30 years. So I always recommend people going to our membership page and joining because we do newsletters that keep everyone up to date on jobs that we are given as a committee member. So I hope you like us, join, make a comment, and have fun staying connected. That's it.
Thank you, Wendy. So at this time, I would like to welcome our keynote presenter, Shanae Graham. Shanae, maybe you could tell us a little bit about you and your background as well as getting started on the featured presentation.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Steve and Trish and team. I'm really excited to be with everyone today. So as shared, my name is Shanae Graham, and I am currently a HR consultant for PuzzleHR. Have about 10 years of HR and operations experience. In my current role, though, I do service about a dozen businesses in the Southeast as far as their HR needs. So it allows me to have a unique perspective on this discussion and ultimately bring all of the good things I've learned through each of those clients and unique industries and different employee size. So looking forward to this discussion. So without further ado, I will share my screen and we will get started. Excellent. All right. So I do actually have us starting out with a poll. So we'll kick off with, does your organization offer a wellness program? Either yes, no, or not sure. Awesome. Love it. So looks like we have about 79% that say yes, 18% not sure. Love the honesty there, and 3% no. So for those that are on the yes, that's awesome. So happy to hear that. For those on the not sure and no, hopefully I can share some additional tips that maybe we can bring back to our HR teams and things they can implement. So alrighty, I love to just do an agenda so you guys know what we're going to be covering today. As Steve mentioned, you know, the Great Resignation is certainly a hot item, if you will, right now. And so we're trying to switch the narrative from the Great Resignation to the Great Retention. We're also going to talk about the future of work and an inclusive approach to wellness. And last but not least, we're going to talk about a three-pronged wellness approach. So we'll discuss the psychological opportunities, physical and financial wellness strategies. All right, so it's certainly no secret that many businesses, organizations across the country are in search of top talent. And with that, you know, we see a lot of open vacancies, help wanted, just general job postings that folks are looking for talented individuals to join the workforce. So this is really important discussion on retaining those that you do have. Fun fact, if you're not aware, 4.35 million US workers quit their jobs in February. That was up from 4.25 million in January. All the experts are not really seeing that number decreasing any. So for businesses that think, oh, this will pass, we're not really seeing that. So if you want to stay competitive, I encourage you to continue listening to this discussion, because we're going to give you some good solutions. And then another 65% of Americans are looking for a new job. So for those that maybe haven't resigned or quit yet, there's still, a strong majority that are interested in other opportunities. All right, so what's an inclusive approach to wellness, you might ask? I would just start off by saying, so long are the days of basic benefits. We've seen such a customized approach that businesses are taking when it comes to their wellness benefits and what that package looks like. Also, employee benefits are no longer an enticement, but an expectation. I talk with some clients and, they're like, oh, well, we offer health insurance and dental and vision. And I'm like, yes, you and every other business. What do you offer that stands out? And definitely not a one size fits all solution. So we have a vast age range of workers in the workforce right now. And what a 22-year-old that's coming out of college, their wellness needs are going to be very different than somebody that's nearing retirement age. And then certainly last but not least, just employees have options, lots of them. So just making sure that you always have that in mind when you are developing a strategy, that it's, knowing that there are a lot of other options out there for employers, or for employees, what can we offer that makes us stand out? So the first prong is psychological wellness. And I have here, kind of what the basic definition, psychological wellness is to the extent which people experience positive emotions and feelings of happiness. But what's really important is, why does this matter to the business? Many times, HR folks don't necessarily get a seat at the business table. And so these are the things that we can bring to businesses to say this impacts productivity, bottom line. So why does it matter? Employees feel safe at work. It's easier for them to engage. So this could lead to success in team meetings, solving problems, collaborating on projects, and engaging with customers and peers when your staff have psychological wellness. I'm going to list some success stories that many of my clients have in place. So first, we have paid mental health days. So this is different than just general PTO or general sick days. It's making a very specific attempt to offer specifically mental health days. I would say any days that you can offer towards this bucket is appreciated. I've seen anywhere from, 1 per quarter to up to 10 days a year towards mental health. Also, employee assistance programs. So for those, that have been in the workforce for a long time, EAPs are certainly no new program, but we've seen a lot of traction with it recently. I would say, especially regarding the counseling opportunities that come alongside with a lot of EAPs, they offer that complimentary service, and this allows to be a very easy, convenient, confidential, safe route that employees can go to when they have some concerns and they want to talk to a professional about it. So I strongly recommend, if you don't have an EAP program in place, a lot of times they are connected with a medical plan. So that could even be something with your insurance broker that they could look to add, or there are standalone EAPs that businesses can purchase as well. Employee appreciation incentives. So things like birthdays and anniversaries, we're humans. We want to be celebrated. We want our team to know about big events in our lives. And so making sure that there is an effort to recognize those with the team. And especially in a remote environment, this is really important to help folks stay connected. Some general employee recognition programs. So I have loved the idea of a dedicated Slack channel. I've heard it called a kudos or confetti or, high five channel, but it's exclusively a channel for giving positive feedback, recognition, appreciation for team members. And, it might feel a little awkward at first, but I can assure you it takes off, and, your team will love the opportunity to praise their peers in a public forum like that. And again, just helps with building community, helps people build relationships. So that also might be in the form of a spot bonus or an e-gift card, something as simple as a $5 Starbucks gift card. I don't know about you, but if that ever comes through my inbox, it's going to be a great day. So that's a low cost investment that a business can make, and it reaps some really big rewards with your employees. No Zoom meetings on Fridays. So I just feel in general we have been meeting to death, and just sometimes it doesn't have to be necessarily on a Friday, but just in general being aware of meetings on everyone's calendar. And if it's something that maybe doesn't have to be a meeting, let's schedule it just as a phone call or a chat with a coworker. Not everything has to be a meeting, and that can really just cause fatigue. I know we've all heard of Zoom fatigue, and it's real. So just being aware of that. If you want to pick a day, Friday certainly seems to be a good opportunity to do that. Also, just following a calendar of general awareness. So for May, for those of you that might not know, that's Mental Health Awareness Month. So I love partnering with my clients to raise special awareness that time of the month by educating employees on what resources they have that support their mental health. So that would be something like an EAP that you have in place. Also love if you are on site, having a vendor come in and offer free lunch or something for the employees to, again, build that community. If you're working fully remote, then have a special delivery for the employees, when you're kicking off the month of May. It's a great time to refocus and recenter on mental health. And then last is about one-on-one meetings. So we all have heard that employees don't leave bad jobs, they leave bad managers. So as far as psychological safety, a lot of that comes with a direct manager and the support and safety that they feel with that manager. So if you're not in a general cadence of having one-on-ones at all, I recommend getting those started. I would say weekly or bi-weekly is a good cadence to get into. And I always recommend for, any of my clients' managers that the first, 5 minutes should be about, how was your weekend? How are you doing? And get that personalization on the forefront, because that really helps in building trust. And when you do have to have difficult conversations with your team, you have, put in some sweat equity as far as, connecting with them on a personal basis. So that one is huge with making sure that, your employees feel safe, and that they're allowed to bring their authentic selves to work. And if they're running late or something comes up and there's an emergency, they know they could reach out to their manager. And because of that relationship, it's not the end of the world, and we are doing our best to come into work and bring our best selves, but emergencies do happen, and for employees to feel safe for that to occur. All right, so for those that maybe are familiar with Abraham Maslow's, he has his hierarchy of needs, and this is about what motivates people. And this is really interesting dichotomy between pre-COVID and post-COVID. So, going on this chart, we have generally employees were managed by self, but in a conducive work environment. So their self-actualization needs, were met. As far as esteem and belonging, bosses and colleagues used to appreciate and recognize in regular group meetings and town halls. As far as, cooperative, colleagues, supportive bosses, employees were taken care of by HR and senior members, creating a feeling of camaraderie. And last but not least, the needs were taken for granted. Employers provided them as far as salary and basic stable work environment. But when you compare it to after COVID, we've experienced a little stress in this area. The new normal and what we've always done necessarily wasn't fulfilling that motivation and that belonging that employees need and crave. So after COVID, with limited infrastructure and communication channels in place, it started affecting employees' motivation, and it's compromised. Esteem has been compromised severely. Managers and peers could no longer keep the feedback loop going and recognize the remote employees in time. The flow of communication is compromised. Employees can no longer bond over impromptu in-person meetings. I know we talk about the water cooler discussions that have just fallen to the wayside when you're in a remote environment. It's hard to have those informal conversations, but the one-on-one with your employees is a great way to build some of those water cooler talk. And then general anxiety, stress over job security. No secret that some businesses have really struggled during the COVID pandemic, and it's made employees feel uncertain about their job security and their financial stability, just the economy in general. It's a stressful time, and so recognizing that and being proactive in how you respond and support your employees through that. All right, moving on to the second prong. So we talked about psychological wellness. The other prong is physical wellness. So pretty self-explanatory, but taking care of your body for optimal health, strength, care, and functionality. Physical activity plays an important role in employees' health, well-being, and quality of life. Employees who are healthier are generally more productive, they require less sick leave, and they experience reduced stress on the job. From an IBM study, 46% of employees said their company supports their physical health. So almost 50%, I think we can make some improvements in that. So this is talking specifically about healthcare costs and how behavior impacts that with your employees. So, it is challenging to ultimately change or affect behavior in the workplace. But as you can imagine, when employees have unhealthy behaviors, it can lead to a reduced health risk and can lead to chronic disease, which ultimately impacts healthcare costs. So this is important that you're partnering with your employees on how to improve those behaviors, reduce some of those chronic diseases. I mean, it's hard as an employer to walk alongside them through every step of the way, because they do leave your office space and have a life and whatnot, but there are some things we can have in place that set good habits and can actually improve behavior. So some examples of physical success stories in the workplace. So big one, allowing hybrid or flexible work schedules. So not every industry is able to offer that. So I do recognize that that's not a solution for everyone, but for an employer that is able to offer a hybrid or work from home, I just have seen so much positive come out of that, and employees are just really loving that, and it's kind of going to be the expectation. I think companies that are forcing people to come back into the office are probably going to see a retention issue with their team. Another opportunity is a health or gym reimbursement. So this can also be a low cost thing at, 20 or 40 bucks a month that you're reimbursed your employees if they are enrolled in a gym or health club. Some healthy competition. So some wellness challenge opportunities. Goodness, I think most Americans got a Peloton during the pandemic. So a Peloton or a Fitbit, Apple Watch, or an activity tracker of some sort where you can set up some friendly competition for those that want to participate. And you can even, include a reward at the end of a gift card for the person that's, walked the most steps or has committed to, riding the Peloton for a month straight. A lot of fun ideas that you can do with your team. And again, not everyone has to participate, but those that do, I think really enjoy it. And it helps, again, building that community. Smoking cessation. So for lack of better words, probably not the most, sexy program or fun program, but it's really impactful. So I've done this in one of my past roles, and it was really neat to see the life change and folks that were wanting to quit. And you can partner with local programs that can give support to employees too. So, but just offering that's something that as the employer, that it's important to them, and wanting to invest in their employees' health. Also stipend for competitive events. So here at Puzzle, we're actually doing a mud run in April, where we're going to go out and do one of those obstacle courses, and opened it up for everyone to participate that wanted to, that was here local in the Tampa area. So I know that even Ironmans or triathlons willing to sponsor teams and walk alongside employees that want to participate in those programs is another great way. And then this is really fun and interesting, that on a Friday you could open up a fitness class for your employees to host. So something like, we all have work skills, but some of us might be yoga professionals or Zumba instructors on the side. You'd be surprised what some of your employees do after hours. And if one of them wanted to lead a class, it's a really cool way to, again, voluntary, but get folks involved from a physical aspect. All right, and then the third prong is financial wellness. So psychological wellness, we tackled physical wellness, and the third prong is financial. So, financial wellness is feeling secure in their current obligations, and they can make choices that let you enjoy life. So why does that matter? Good things happen when employees have their finances under control, more engaged on the job, better able to save for retirement and emergencies, and employees are less likely to switch jobs when they feel financially secure. And here's some fun facts from Dave Ramsey on finances in the workplace. So as you can imagine, when employees are struggling with money, they don't just leave it at the door. Those things then come into the workplace. And in some instances, it can hurt the business if that is a outside factor that's really weighing heavily on them, as you could understand. So 41% of employers say financial stress is hurting their employees. Another 68% of employers say COVID-19 had a big impact on employee financial health. And then 77% of employers say their employees are delaying retirement because of money. Not great statistics. So we as HR leaders and as businesses, we can play a big role in creating financial security for your employees and setting them up for success. So some examples of financial wellness would be a paid family leave. So I've seen this be an interesting topic as of recent on even maternity versus paternity benefits, and offering equal paid leave for a female and male employee. So I think that's really important as far as the inclusivity part of the workplace is making sure that if you are offering paid family leave, that it's equivalent to a female and a male, reducing that stigma for generally males to bond with their child and be home with them. In the past might have looked like an afterthought, but it's becoming really important to male colleagues in the workplace for them to be able to have time to support their family and have time off from work too. So, and there's even been from a HR standpoint, some compliance concerns if you don't offer the same leave opportunities in male versus female. So work with your HR professional on avoiding some potential discrimination issues there. Professional development stipend. So I've seen this used in a couple different ways where you can just set a dollar amount each year that businesses will contribute to professional development, and allowing the employee to secure and find that vendor that they want to work with that can help them with that professional development. I think that's a really great way to get your employees engaged in it by giving them the bandwidth to choose what that solution might be. And then with the manager seeing, okay, well, how does that help with your career path and your growth strategy here in the workplace? So a really great way to build retention. Another big one is 401k match and just general financial advisor services. So I think at a minimum, offering a 401k option, whether it's matching or not from a cost perspective, at least having a 401k available that employees to contribute to is huge. Being able to offer the match is even better and will help you, again, help with retention and being competitive when you're recruiting. I know like bigger financial advising firms here locally, Raymond James or Edward Jones, they'll come on site or do a webinar with your team and talk about some of the investments 101 basics. I feel that a lot of staff respond really positively to that. And most of those advisors are even available on a personal level too, if an employee wants to reach out with some of their personal goals and how that financial advisor can partner with them outside of the workplace to reach those goals. So having that available is great. And then I kind of call it safety net insurance. So life and disability insurance. I would say these are some of those bare minimum insurances that you should be offering. So life insurance, I think we all know what that is. Disability, so that's really important on a short-term basis for injury, surgery, that they might be out of work. And then also on a long-term basis, if they do become injured or disabled and can't earn income, having both of those insurances in place are a safety net, financially for employees to just kind of like they can breathe, that there is some financial security there for them. A financial wellness coach. So I did this in my past HR director role where it was helping with the one-on-one of budgeting and even grocery shopping and setting a budget with things like that. Obviously, financial wellness coach can cover a myriad of topics, but the staff really responded well to it and sent out some great resources on how to help with budgeting, and staying on track with that is another great way to just partner with your employees and show an investment in their financial success. Tuition or student loan repayment. I think most of us are familiar with that and it's been around. But if you are offering it, it allows you to, again, retain some employees that are wanting to maybe pursue an MBA or pursue additional education. You are absolutely going to reap the benefits of that when they complete that education and bring all of that knowledge back to the team. And then another important one is caregiving. and childcare support funds. So whether that is for children or elder care is really important. We're all facing parents that are aging and need additional support, and it can be a big distraction for employees when they are having to care for their loved ones. And it's really important that they feel supported, but if you're able to contribute to funding, another option is a flexible spending account. So there is with that is a pre-tax option that employees can contribute to throughout the year to go towards dependent care expenses or elder care expenses. So that's again a very low cost option that even if the employer does not want to contribute to that flexible spending account, the employee can contribute to it. And again, it's pre-tax, so helps with taxes and is a tax savings for them. And ultimately, if they're going to be spending the money on tuition or caregivers that come into their families' homes, they're going to be spending that. So might as well have an option where it can be pre-tax dollars. All right, I wanted to provide some just general tips that there's still hope. I know that was a lot of options and opportunities there, and not to feel overwhelmed and stressed by it. Those are just a ton of different options you can offer. You don't have to offer every single one, but having some ideas to get you started, get the creative juices flowing. So here's just some general tips that help with retention. So I think a really big one is just embracing the change from just a perspective standpoint, not being able to really predict what the future of work is going to look like, or and just being okay with that, and just rolling with the punches, and just adapting, being flexible during this time. Another great opportunity is conducting stay interviews. So most folks are probably familiar with an exit interview when someone is leaving the organization, and then we gather feedback on their experience and take that as a learning opportunity. But even more impactful would be doing a stay interview. So, you know, above and beyond a one-on-one, above and beyond a annual performance review where you're checking in with your employees, a stay interview could be really valuable and is of no cost. It's, takes time, but it's a really great way that you can engage with your employees and kind of just take their temperature and see where they're at, what some of their concerns are, and you as the employer can, make changes that can ultimately help with retention and what their work-life balance might be, and some roadblocks they might be experiencing, and how you can help accommodate those. Also, not chasing candidates that are choosing to leave. So it's interesting. We've seen a lot of folks leave the workplace, but not necessarily return in a traditional way. So some folks just during the pandemic have opened up their own side businesses, or have explored just other opportunities for them to find financial success, or just mental health success, that working full-time traditionally isn't what they want to do anymore. So building that relationship, keeping those lines of communications open, because you never know when that door might open back again, but wishing your employees well in what their next step might be if it's not in your organization. Another opportunity is to shift dollars from recruiting to training. So obviously recruiting top talent is super important and a top, budget item on many HR teams. But if we're really focusing on retaining our current staff, we also need to be aware of putting some of those budget dollars into our retention and training programs. So whether that's having an executive coach come in, somebody that's DISC certified or Strengths Finders certified, and doing some team building with your team, allowing them to understand their different communication styles or personality styles, a lot of fun things you can do with training there, but willing to invest in maybe some outside professionals that can come in and uptrain your team and give them more skills that can help them be successful in the role, but also just in their general development. And last but not least is inviting employees to be co-creators, inviting them to be part of the process. So, so long are the days where businesses just unanimously decide across the board of what decisions are made, and everyone has to just follow suit because the CEO says so. I think those environments, you're not going to reap positive retention, and I think folks will begin looking elsewhere to be a part of a more collaborative and co-creating space where they get to be a part of the discussion. That feedback is open and continuous and throughout the year, and just allowing that to be a part of the journey. All right, we've got another poll question. Does your organization survey employees for feedback on wellness benefit programs? So the responses here would be, again, the yes, no, and not sure on surveys. Thank you guys so much for participating. Hey, so hard with Zoom connecting with everyone, but I appreciate you guys being a part of the discussion here. All right, so looks like we're settled around 65% say yes, that their organizations are surveying their employees. Awesome. About 20% say no, they're not being surveyed, and another 15% say they're not sure. So that leads into what my next steps would be here for developing wellness and benefit programs and how you would get started. So surprise, survey employees, that would be my recommendation. Even as an HR professional, I don't know exactly what our employees are going to want most. So what better way than to go right to the source and ask them what matters most to them. And then you can develop a plan based on that within budget and strategy and begin acting on that feedback. So strongly encourage, if you're not doing a surveying, get started. There's a lot of SurveyMonkey, you can set an account up for free. This isn't an ad for them, but you can set up an account for free and survey your employees very quickly. So easy thing to implement. I strongly encourage, though, that the surveys are anonymous. So, wanting to get authentic feedback, and in order to do that, having those surveys be anonymous is a big part of that. And you can also incentivize participation. So as simple as, a $5 gift card or a reward at the end that incentivizes those that want to participate and give their feedback, might help move the needle on participation. And ultimately just make employee satisfaction a priority. So this kind of goes back to benefits being an enticement rather than an expectation. So again, making sure that your employees are satisfied, and the expectation is that you are a people first workplace, and having that approach with kind of all of your HR strategies, but definitely regarding wellness and benefit programs. And a really big part of it is, okay, we can survey employees, we can get all this feedback, but then you don't do anything with the feedback. It's almost as bad as not surveying at all. So really encourage that if you're going to take the time to survey and commit to that there is equally as much effort on reviewing that survey information and developing, you know, a roadmap and a plan to address their feedback and having actionable results because of it. I think employees will be more likely to give feedback when they see that it is making legitimate changes in the workplace rather than just checking a box and, oh, they said they cared, but nothing really changed. And not everything can we address, you know, but taking some of those common themes and trends and really making an effort to make adjustments on behalf of what your employees are saying. All right, so this leaves me with some questions. I have not been checking the chats that diligently, but let's check out what some of the team said here. So, okay, great question from Steve. How is your company recognizing employee achievements? So I think a great way is on the Slack channel, having that being like continuous on that channel, but also if you're not doing like a weekly newsletter here at Puzzle, we have that where it highlights like positive feedback from a coworker to another coworker saying that someone did a great job on a project, and we highlight that in a weekly newsletter so all staff can see that. And I think once you start that positive feedback, it just is a snowball effect, and people then are more prone to praise others and give feedback and recognize some of those achievements. All right, I see they receive catalog gift selections for anniversary dates and anniversary gift dependent on years of service. Love that. Yeah, we've had here at Puzzle a vendor where you can actually pick the food and snack items that get shipped to you. It's called Sugar Wish. And so again, it allows it to be customizable, that if you got a sweet tooth or a salty, you can pick what treat you want. So that's another fun way to get their collaboration in it. What low cost options are available for appreciation incentives? Is it the action that is appreciated or something of value? So for me personally, it's definitely the act of appreciation rather than the value of it. So some low cost options would be, you know, a $5 Starbucks or Dunkin' gift card. It's pretty low cost impact, but high impact with employees. We've also just talked about opening up those Slack channels is a great way to show appreciation among your peers too. Even setting up your social media accounts, so highlighting your employees on your Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, having an employee spotlight section where you can highlight some of those anniversaries on a more public scale. I think employees, then they can even share that on their LinkedIn, and just building that employer brand too. Using your intranet blog site to feature employee well-being success stories. That's a great idea. Yeah, leveraging whatever tools that you might have in place. So, you know, if you have a performance management tool, using that. But if you don't, and you know, email and Slack and an intranet, that's a great way. Just optimize the tools that you have. I have here, we use a platform by achievers. We call it Rave. We can reward and celebrate everything and anything on there. Very cool. I haven't heard of that platform yet. Sounds like a great option. We have Friday coffee meetings at lunch and share kudos and shout outs. I love that. I've also seen where you can put like some of your interests into a survey of what you're interested in, and then you automatically get paired with another peer, which is pretty cool in a remote environment when you might never meet some of these people in real life. And because you maybe share about a kid's situation or a sport or an alma mater or something that connects you, or a hobby, then that system then automatically connects you for like a 15-minute coffee break, and you can meet a new peer. So that's a really great way too. Moments that matter. So team members can recognize each other for values they demonstrate. I love that. Yeah, I think if, I mean, every organization should have some core values, mission statement. So doing appreciation ideas that align with that. So even if it's a nomination based thing. So if one of your core values is, practicing kindness or something, having it be available where other employees can nominate a peer in the workplace that they've seen them exercising that kindness is a really great way to showcase them and get feedback from your team. We have quarterly meetings with team interaction enhancements, communication style, common vision, values, appreciation. This is the foundation. Board members, the top defines the parameters for the culture. Then we build from the grassroots up. So bring up a great point, definitely on culture. It definitely starts from the top, and it's everyone's participation and contribution into that discussion that helps drive that culture. But yeah, if you don't have that lead from one of your top leaders, it can definitely fall flat and can create some morale issues. I do love a quarterly meeting too, where you can just kind of reconnect on, 90 days goes by pretty quick, but we accomplished probably a lot in 90 days. So being able to reconnect as a team on what were some of the big projects that we accomplished during this quarter, and making sure that our next quarter projects are in alignment for what we all want together. Sometimes we just are going through the motions and don't stop to just realign together. So I love that quarterly meeting idea. All right, another thought, what ways can we organizations overcome leaders, management teams who override acting on survey results? So, I'm assuming what you're referring to is when we survey employees and there's some areas for an improvement, but leaders or management don't recognize that or pursue that for more feedback. I think if you don't have an HR person within your team, partnering somebody that can be a part of those C-suite discussions with leaders and explaining the importance of it. I think more business leaders in general are just becoming aware of the people aspect, and you have to acknowledge that and make attempts to improve it. So I think overall as a workforce, we're getting better with leaders being more aware of the people component and the human component. So I think there has to be somebody in the C-suite that's accountable for making sure that those survey results create actionable feedback. So generally that would be under an HR leader's direction, but yeah, there has to be somebody there that holds leaders accountable to that. And in a positive way. I just rolled out a survey with one of my clients, and we just presented it to their managers. And instead of me coming to conclusions of what I think they need improvements for, we had the management team actually, they're gonna take some time and partner with me individually on where they can see improvements in their department. So allowing them to, again, have that co-creation, that co-ownership in the process, where it's not just somebody deciding this for everyone. All right, during the holidays, we've created word clouds of positive attributes submitted by team members about each other. I love that. Yeah, the word clouds are fun, and that's an awesome way to recognize the team. Very creative. All right. Any other questions, guys? I love this. Thank you so much.
All right, if no one has any other direct questions for Shanae, feel free to, we'll transition to more of an open networking kind of opportunity for us. Feel free to continue to put in chat room questions. I do see another one that kind of came in here from Jean. Do you know of any industry statistics on what employees want overall?
Yeah, I mean, I think flexibility is probably the biggest thing I'm seeing. That seems to be the trend, whether that's their schedule, their physical place of work, just the availability. I know to pop out in the middle of the day and handle an errand and then come back in. I think the flexibility component is huge, but that would be probably my biggest trend that I've seen, is allowing that flexibility, whatever that might be in your workplace, with your employees is huge. So long are the days that just strict, 9 to 5. I know probably my work hours are even more blurred working from home. I'm kind of on all the time, which is also a problem with fatigue and burnout, but I still love the flexibility, even if it creates my own burnout issues. I wouldn't change that for anything. So, and if anyone has any other specific questions, my email is Shanae@PuzzleHR.com. I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm completely available, email, phone, to reach out if you have any other specific things. Would love to keep the conversation going, but I really appreciate you guys allowing me to speak today, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Shanae. Thank you so much for joining us today, and very good presentation. I almost want to watch it twice just to kind of reabsorb all the information again. But everyone else, please feel free to stay on the line here. Shanae, you're welcome to stay on as well. Our organization is very prideful of the opportunities that we have to meet one another, share ideas, best practices, tips, sort of like what we learned today from Shanae, but maybe we could just talk in an informal manner. If you'd like to also put your camera on, if you'd like to join in the conversation, it'd be a great time to get to know one another. We will have this presentation and this portion of the meeting posted on our website on a recording soon, so you can find that there as well. So I got to get the conversation kind of kicked off here, and I thought maybe our people on the call would like to share a little bit about how their employer has leveraged their wellness program or their offerings for employee recruitment and retention efforts. Have you been asked to adjust what you're offering in these measures, or are you doing anything different to assist? I'd love to hear from everybody. I know I've been asked to help rewrite some of our recruitment manuals, making sure that that they're up to date, and they put a spin on how you can come back, how you can work for the firm that I work for, and kind of thrive all the way through it. So have you guys seen have you been asked of any efforts to adjust your program for recruitment or retention?
Steve, just to add to that, we were asked to do a presentation to all the recruiters, so they're knowledgeable about what is available, because it's hard to speak fluently in reference to that unless you know what's available. So that's the only thing that we've done. I mean, benefits is so fluid to begin with. It's continually changing. So just to provide them with knowing what's available to our team members is important.
Yeah, I would say on job postings, there's been a big shift where, employers are listing so many of those benefits, like right at the top even of job postings, because folks are, quick applying at a lot of places. And I think it's a great idea to highlight those right at the top, what's in it for you, and, put all those benefits right at the top of even a job posting. So candidates right at the front end are like, here's what I'm getting. and this looks like something I want to be a part of, and makes them more excited about the opportunity if they're qualified, you know.
Talking about job posting, what is your recommendation in reference to salary ranges? Should that be left off the job posting? Should that be a negotiation tactic? Should there be a range?
Yeah, so there are a couple states. Colorado is already a state that you have to disclose that. New York has come out with some compliance on that as well, that if you're recruiting in Colorado or New York, you have to disclose the wage, the salary range. You know, I think there's pros and cons of each. I think in general, having it is a pro. I think the only con is if you are, in order to be competitive, are have that range quite a bit more than maybe what you're paying somebody in the role now, can create, you know, a morale issue potentially if someone that's a part of your organization sees, oh, well, somebody that's brand new can earn $10,000 more a year than me. What the heck? So I think making sure that before you are transparent about that, that your internal equity is in place to not create more of a problem. But I think a lot of candidates are expecting some sort of compensation on the front end. Otherwise, they don't know if it's worth their time or not. And I think it's kind of it's valid, you know, what are they getting into? So financial component is a huge part of it.
Yes, we've seen showing what our compensation range is for our medical staff members in the field has been beneficial because historically those in the health and wellness industry, for our medical staff members, health screeners, phlebotomists, that kind of stuff, they generally get underpaid and we pay a higher rate. So we do list that as almost as a measure of pride.
Yeah, it makes you stand out among others.
Yeah.
I just want to add, not only for job postings, but for retention, we do a benefit compensation annually that we send out to our employees. And I even have clients that do this, that list, they get perks throughout the year, but they forget about them. You list them, you monetize them, and they realize how much you're investing in each employee. It makes them, you know, feel more of the culture and everything. So even when you're compiling that list, you may find yourself doing a little audit of what you're offering your clients and seeing where you do need to add some benefits and perks. So being a little transparent and just reminders once a year of what they are getting from your company helps. That'll help with retention.
I think employees don't realize, you know, the further investment that the company's making on their behalf, you know, how much the medical plan truly costs for them to be insured, and the other benefits that maybe are coming at no cost to the employee. So it's a good point, and something, you know, finding creative ways to share that information definitely builds more culture and across your organization.
Yeah, I think employees just see take home pay, and that's all they think of, you know, and there's, as you know, so much more to the benefit package than that. So I love it. A total reward statement once a year. And I mean, you can get as granular as PTO days and paid holidays and 401k match, all of that. I mean, list it all. So even payroll tax, the not fun part, but hey, that's the employer's paying that. So I agree.
What's your, you know, not to go back, but in reference to the flexibility, we've seen that as kind of a dual-edged sword, you know, good and bad. What's your recommendation in terms of laying out, hey, I know it's kind of like saying you have an open door policy. If you say you have an open door policy, you probably don't, but laying out like, this is what the flexibility is, because we've seen employees almost take advantage of our flexibility. And sometimes that you almost have to kind of remind them, like, you can't be that flexible. But what do you recommend in terms of that?
Yeah, so I think you can have, you know, the business operates on X hours. I mean, most businesses have their operating hours, especially if there's a customer or client component of it, that they have to be responsive during those hours. So I think setting the expectation of, those are our general working hours, and there can be flexibility around that, but you have to be able to respond within 2 hours or 4 hours, almost like a service level agreement of what your response time is. And if that's, via Slack or email, but setting kind of, an expectation of how quickly they need to respond, even if they are not working.
I think that brings up a point that, communication to them is important, but also it needs to be put into policy. Updating handbooks now that, work from home and flexible hours are important, but they do need to be in a handbook and have the employees sign off on them.
I'm wondering if anyone has like I'm old school, so I'm used to brochures and paper handouts and all that kind of stuff. But there's so much information when it comes to wellness or benefits or whatever. We put together a resource page, so I guess we have the resource book. But I'm thinking of something more quick and easy to just have available to pick up for wellness initiatives specifically.
Yeah, I kind of call it like a benefit booklet. That's totally acceptable. It can be PDF, still electronic and easily, transmittable to the team. But yeah, with my clients, I normally partner with our insurance broker, and even things like apps that you can download to have easier access to your health insurance. So many insurance providers even offer like gym reimbursement, and a lot of wellness programs already tied up into that. So just having a booklet that outlines all those opportunities, I think is great. I recommend all my clients have it, and then I include it with their offer letter even. So it's something I provide right on the front end, to provide to candidates coming in.
And having those type of resources all put together in a booklet, it's helpful. It's helpful for the other vendors too, because if you want an integrated program where one vendor is referring to another vendor potentially on, if let's say you have health coaches and you also have registered dietitians, the health coach, you want to make sure that a health coach understands the program offered with the registered dietitian so they could share resources. So I always believe in that integrated kind of format. I have a separate brochure I put out just for vendors, so it guides them towards sharing everything else that's offered within the program. I often rely on them and their recommendations to drive engagement. So, I think all our wellness programs have probably adapted a lot since the pandemic started. Is there any program offered by someone that's new and fresh that maybe was influenced by the change in work style that we all potentially, likely most of us have experienced? Any new programs out there that you're offering, in response to this new world we're living in, this new working world?
Well, we used to, just to add in, we used to offer yoga classes on site. So now we're going to be offering yoga virtually for unlimited participation. So we're at no cost to our team members. So that's something new that we are just getting off the ground. So.
Yeah, and we always, when it comes to mental health, we always directed people towards our medical plan or towards our carrier's virtual behavioral health option. And we've recently rolled out a specific therapist that's available virtually for one of our office, and engagement has been very, very high because we're able to promote that specific counselor or get them in front of people with webinars and such. And these one-on-one appointments that we're offering virtually have really taken off, and I think that's something to consider if you're, if you have the ability to have a, a dedicated resource to use it, leveraging the virtual format. Shanae, Shanae, you mentioned some tips, especially ones around how your employees can be co-creators in your programming. And I thought it'd be good to hear if anybody on the call has anything to share on how they have gotten input from their colleagues, either through committees or blog postings or surveys. Please, I'd love to understand how others are, how you're bringing others in to be co-creators in your program.
So, hi. So we have a enhancement committee, what we call, and that has a representative from each department who meets once a month to kind of go over some like broader wellness things or just ways to boost morale within our organization. And then also we recently started on our intranet page, a anonymous survey link where what we call a suggestion box where employees can just like submit an idea. And it's actually been very beneficial. We've been able to installate jeans now all the time, as well as an employee suggested having different tea in the break room. So like different packets of tea. And so that's been well received. So it's been anything from like something small, like having tea in the break room, to opening up larger conversations for our senior managers to have about more PTO days and more other things like that. So it's been a great way for employees to anonymously submit their thoughts.
Well, I'll share that this is Dina from Hillsborough County Public Schools, and we do survey our employees through our newsletter with a link. We have well-being champions, and not only are they surveyed for their interest in what programs they think their coworkers want on site or virtually each school year, but we also have a Teams channel where they're just networking and sharing all the time, so they can post what they're doing or they can post questions. Maybe they have an idea, but they want to know what other champions have done, so they're not reinventing the wheel. So just that space to collaborate when we're so spread apart and in different circumstances at each school. So it gives them a chance to work with each other, even though they're not under one roof.
Yeah, kind of in line with that, Dina, we just started a Champ Connection on a monthly basis. I like what you said, that they have the ability to share information at the spur of the moment, when you want a quick answer. But we have a monthly meeting for the champs just to connect. It's a means to orientate new champions very quickly with a review of what's available, but then also the champs that attend have an opportunity to connect and share information on what's working, what's not, and questions that they might have. So.
Great. And Shanae spoke about, on a holistic approach of well-being, incorporating physical, psychological, and financial well-being, into your program. Just wondering what ways maybe the group here have integrated their programs and resources and initiatives along, those, kind of three pillars, let's say, of well-being. Just wondering, has there been any way that, that they've fed off each other, or are you promoting them separately, together? Any thoughts on that would be, I think, be a great value.
Steve,
Hey, Mary Beth.
how are you?
Good.
It all comes down to sharing values and building from that sense of shared values and mission, to co-create through each of those threads, each of those channels, so that they are all woven together. Sometimes finding I end up calling it the sweet spot because we have so many golfers, where does this bottom line alignment cross over to this bottom line alignment, and how can we best address the bottom line goals for that team or that department or that individual? Sometimes it's for that family. Because if you're not meeting people where they are and what matters to them, they don't appreciate any results you may accomplish, and it's less likely that you will reach those results. So that's a strong avenue for engagement, because people start to reach down into places that they don't visit very often because we're so busy day to day.
So true. I think even incorporating the values of the organization, within, each one of those threads, has always been something I've been trying to focus on more on lately, especially with our employee value proposition and some other, real guiding initiatives that we have at our firm.
I love that employee value proposition, making that a transparent and outwardly shared concept, as opposed to something that people kind of covet to themselves. And if you shared space.
Yeah, it's really about what, the organization can give you in your career and your development, even expecting you to leave at some point, what you're going to get, by working here. And I think the same thing, try to infuse that with the wellness program too. It's for retention, it's for, your own development, it's for you to be at the best you can be. You can perform at the best at home, at work. So it's great to integrate, as you're saying.
And it's been integrated with recruitment for a really long time, and for retention. And one of the ways that one of the companies I was working with, they were kind of dysfunctional, this a long time ago, but they did recognize that engineers were not going to come to their little old location out in the middle of the country unless they had a really good wellness program. So that integration is critical, and often people recognize it when they're kind of at a disadvantage. So the question that comes to mind for me is, what are the ways that your wellness program, you, Steve, and everybody else, connects with HR recruitment and retention to engage employees with what matters to them about the wellness program?
What I do too is I create communications for our HR personnel to distribute as if they're coming from their own words, and I give them a chance to to rewrite them and put them that are, make them specific for the group that they're promoting to. But so I leverage, their ability to communicate with certain groups and, kind of get my message out, through them. That's been helpful for me with gaining engagement, because sometimes I'm limited in my role, but the local HR professionals over the sites and the offices, they have more bandwidth and capacity to send out. And if you can make your communications a turnkey as possible for them, and give them opportunities to put their own twist on it a little bit, and that could be really helpful.
Love that.
Any other thoughts on the topic? Please feel free to chime in.
It's me again, Steve. But this is a great opportunity to get your input, because you all you're in the thick of it. And we talked about promoting our values and how wellness supports our values. However, have any of you ever, because it takes more than one person, it takes more than one program or one department to really develop a culture of well-being and a healthy work environment. So we're going to be putting together a wellness week for the first time this year, and I thought of putting those 8 pillars together, the 8 pillars of wellness, and then just listing all the programs that we have corporate-wide that support those pillars so that team members can see the big picture of what's available to them. And I just wanted your input on what you think of that and how you would tweak that for our team members to, be more receptive or to utilize or to just know what's available. Because, one of the pillars may be social, those social interactions, but we have a whole nother department that does community service and, the sports events and those types of things where they're not part of the wellness program, but they certainly contribute to the social pillar of wellness. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. But just trying to paint a clearer picture for the team members.
I don't know if I have a silver bullet for you, but I mean, that what you're describing sounds like a great idea, having that go-to kind of visualization that lists everything. I think is a great way. So much of it is the education, and you might talk about it when they're hired, and then it falls off the radar. So bringing just general awareness to it in whatever format is a great idea. So I think centralizing it, summarizing it as much as possible is just kind of a go-to sheet. I think is a great idea.
Shanae, may I build on that?
Sure.
Of course.
So that go-to sheet establishes a representation of what the company and the HR department values. And employees then are sort of, they're opt-in, but if you give them the opportunity to personally engage about it. So you were mentioning earlier surveys and using SurveyMonkey and things like that. And getting their input so that they're co-creating their own way of engaging with that broad spectrum of wellness and overlapping services, but doing it actively. So it's not just a survey. Maybe the people that don't want to be engaged face-to-face or in a workshop online would respond to that so that they could get it done. But the other people might, the social aspect is so important, and we're missing that a lot in today's world. If you have, for instance, a wellness workshop that's about examining how am I doing with my energy? Do I feel great? Am I taking good care of myself? What are all the pillars, or however you want to set it up? There are a number of different ways to do it. How am I energizing myself? How am I energizing my life? How am I energizing my workday? And what are the areas that I want to work on? Then each individual is engaged with realizing, okay, this is something I want to work on. And then the team together can come up with a team goal of how they're going to support one another. And I've seen people do all kinds of things to make this happen. Now, how do we get people to realize that's really important to the organization as a whole? Well, there are a number of ways. And I know I'm being very didactic right now, but I'm so excited about what people do and want to share it. When you set up an opportunity for a wellness goal to be part of your HR goals for each individual, your performance goals for each employee, and then you have a team wellness goal, then people realize, wait a minute, this isn't just icing on the cake. This is integral to the organization. I've had people where the whole group has decided, wait, we don't ever take vacations because we're afraid we're going to let our coworkers down. And they decide with management that we're going to take our vacations this year. Everybody's going to take 2 weeks, whether it's mental health days or whatever it is. I was thinking mindfulness days would be an interesting approach, which is less stigma, but still is about mental health. It's about how it all integrates together. But anyway, to make this long story short, making sure that there's a way that employees are engaged and that they have a way to bond with each other about the goal. Throwing away that candy dish and instead having something else, like everybody puts it in the candy dish that used to be there, an idea for where we go for a healthy lunch on Friday if we're getting together in person, or, what topic we all want to talk about in terms of financial wellness or whatever it is, you know, where people are coming together about a common goal is the idea.
Good, I appreciate that.
My pleasure. That's what I do. That's why I'm here. You know, I don't want to talk too much, but I do want to say thank you to both the people that created this, but the HR managers and your willingness to stretch. We need that.
Well, Steve had to jump off, but was there any other conversation or questions around the discussion that we're having now?
Inclusion, remember inclusion, think of those ways. There are a lot of people that even cannot even go out in person. They have immune conditions that disallow that. Do we still want them as part of our company? Well, if retention is the objective, we probably do. You know, how do we make that work for that individual? It doesn't have to be an outright disability. It can be something not visible, invisible, and you might not even know about it. They don't want to talk about it. Another elephant in the room.
All right. Okay, well, I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. I think it was a wonderful discussion. I want to thank our presenter today, Shanae. Thank you so much for bringing this topic to light. I know it's such a big issue right now, and great conversation that we had here, not only in the chat, but in this networking event afterwards. But thanks again. And well, our next quarterly meeting isn't scheduled yet, but it will be sometime next quarter. So what are we in right now? March. It'll probably be sometime over the summer. If you're not already a member, please go to our website at wellcounseltv.com, I believe, to become a member and get on our distribution list. Remember to like us on Facebook and Instagram. And we'll be sure to have another great presentation next quarter for everyone. And if anybody's interested in sponsoring, sponsorships are available as well too. And you could get a hold of Trish or Steve or myself on that as well. And there's information on the website. So thank you everybody today for attending.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. See you,
Great week.
everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna stop recording.